Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Brampton Tech Talks presented by Brampton Library and the City of Brampton. My name is Erin Walker, and I am the Makerspace and Digital Literacy Librarian at Brampton Library. My co-host this evening is Inez Rashid, who is the Technology and Innovation Coordinator at the City of Brampton. And to launch this evening's program, I'd like to acknowledge that Brampton Library is located on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and before them, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Huron, and Wendat. We also acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and other global Indigenous people that now call Brampton their home. We are honored to live, work, and enjoy this land. Tonight's session is being presented as part of Culture Days, Canada's national celebration of arts and culture. We invite you to check out the Brampton Library Culture Days Hub, where you will find a wide variety of virtual experiences showcasing traditional, new, and unexpected creative projects arising in the growing digital landscape. You'll find the link to our Culture Days Hub on our website at bramptonlibrary.ca. Just look for the web banner on our homepage. And I want to let you know about an exciting new resource that Brampton Library launched yesterday called O'Reilly. O'Reilly brings a wealth of technology and business resources to you free, which you can access free with your Brampton Library card. All of the go-to publishers are represented there. You can learn about programming, business techniques, Kubernetes, Python, it's all there, and free for you to access with your Brampton Library card. I'm really excited about this one, and I hope you will as well. And I invite you to check it out and let us know what you think. Again, that's called O'Reilly for Public Libraries, and you can access that through the web banner on our website at bramptonlibrary.ca and also linked under our digital library. And of course, we invite you to connect with us. Tech Talks is a regular series we run about 4 or 5 times a year, co-hosted by Brampton Library and the City of Brampton. And we, of course, want to keep the conversation going in between these meetups. So I invite you to join our meetup page where we post information about future Tech Talks as well as other events that we're hosting. And I also invite you to join the Brampton City Slack to connect with others who are active in the local Brampton tech and innovation community. With that said, I'm going to pass the baton over to Inez, who will introduce tonight's guest speaker.
Thanks, Erin. Appreciate it. So happy to be here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'd like to introduce you to Greg Schultz. He's a long-term group senior executive and currently chief executive officer for Mobii Systems. In his career, he has delivered on numerous strategic initiatives, developed and commercialized innovative products, and drove sales performance across revenue channels and distribution networks. His corporate and product knowledge is vast. He has held senior executive positions in several corporate areas, including Managing Director of Future Load, Managing Director of Blue Inc., Chief Executive Officer at Africa Prepaid Services. Greg was instrumental in building the largest independent network for acceptance of debit and credit cards in Mexico. And currently in his role as CEO of Mobii Systems, he's looking at establishing a foothold for the sports tech company in the North America market. And he's a proud member of the Brampton Innovation District. So we're glad to have him talk to the Brampton community today. Over to you, Greg.
Thank you, Inez. Thank you for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's an honor to have been invited. I mean, Brampton City have been a supporter of Mobii since we started our plans to come into Canada and use this as our base for expanding to global. And you've been with us every step of the way, so we really appreciate that. And Erin and Brampton Library, thank you for inviting us to your Tech Talk. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that's very close to the core of what we do at Mobii. Delivering live video really fast is key to what we believe the future of live streaming is going to be. Our topic today, fans today, and the reinvention of live streaming. One of the most annoying aspects of streaming video today, especially for live events, is how it lags behind cable and satellite TV. Nothing is worse than watching a sports event and hearing your neighbors scream when your favorite team scores before you even know what happened. I think all of us can relate to, in one way or another, to an incident like this. Today's scalable digital live streaming is typically delayed between 30 and 60 seconds. And honestly, it's killing the live experience. We live in a world of endless content. We're able to watch whatever we want, whenever we want it. But when it comes to live events streamed digitally, there is a frustrating delay. There has been an outstanding decline in hours viewed per week that people are spending watching live content on traditional linear TV. The 18 to 34 age bracket fell from almost 40 hours in 2014 to 10 hours in 2019, this being pre-COVID. In the 12 to 17 bracket, live content viewership fell from 18 hours to 4 hours in the same period. Although people over 65 years of age have sustained their 42-hour per week on average, but this is a metric that's worrying broadcasters. Some of the biggest sporting events in the world are feeling the impact. Super Bowl 55 is a case in point, posted their worst viewer ratings since 2007. And in fact, some of their television ratings going back to Super Bowl 3, as low as Super Bowl 3. So the question is, who will be watching live content in the next decade? Live streaming's inability to deliver content in real time has left broadcasters struggling, unwillingly compensating with forced interactions like chat, sharing, AR and VR to try to keep today's users' attention. And all these engagement tools continue to add to these delays. A study by Limeworks in the UK showed that 65% of people between the ages of 26 and 45 say they would stream more sports online if they were not delayed from this broadcast. Digital streaming is leaving everyone behind, and viewers are looking elsewhere for content. The live broadcasting industry is struggling to adapt to new fan audiences. New fan personas prefer to be active consumers of content rather than passive consumers of content. Fans want personalized viewing experiences, interactions with each other, shorter, more relevant content. Time is increasingly important to the new generation of fan. They don't have the time to sit and watch a 4-hour game of football or a 4-hour game of baseball. They want to be able to come in and get and pick up what's relevant and then leave again and move to the next content platform. Keeping fans engaged is going to be a massive challenge for this industry going forward. Millennials and Gen Z, or Zillennials, as we like to call them, are looking elsewhere for their live content. Results are delivered faster through social media platforms than broadcasters can deliver the feed to the user's second screen. The most powerful consumer group keeps dropping in live content viewership. It's more likely that they spend time on social media to see what's happened on an event instead of watching it live. Social media is winning this race for instant gratification on live content. Why? Is it because of the engagement that originates from social media, or because the live digital experience is not meeting expectations? It might be a combination of both. Have you ever asked yourself, why do you go to a concert or a game? You can hear the crowd, you can feel the beats pumping on the ground and up through your feet. You join everyone else in the clapping and the wooing. So how do you replicate this with live streaming? It's got to be an experience. At Mobii, we're certain that live broadcasting can be improved exactly by the same thing that threatens it: immediacy. It's what drives young Gen Zers to TikTok, Instagram, or any other social media platform. The chance to connect, interact, and choose what they want to see at the exact same time that it's happening. It's not so hard to imagine, right? We've all migrated to an individually shared experience. Everyone is now looking at their own smartphone screen, which is designed to be incredibly personalized, and yet we are able to share the same collective excitement. Consumers want an interactive capability. As they watch an event on one screen with a single swipe, they also want to be able to post on a celebrity's Instagram, share their thoughts on Twitter, or upload their reaction on TikTok with its accompanying quirky dance. The key to achieving this: as long as we fix precision and time, interactive real-time experiences can become a reality. And that's what we did at Mobii. We developed a patent-pending scalable technology that distributes multiple video streams, perfectly synchronized, 10 times faster than anything that exists on the market today. Our technology also enables fans to direct their own experience in real time. We created MyFan, a direct-to-consumer platform that allows live content holders to deliver their live events super fast to viewers, while also allowing the viewer to be the director of their own experience. I can pick the camera angle I want to watch, or multiple camera angles. I can interact with that video. I can pause, I can rewind, I can create what we call moments and share it on my social media, all in real time as it's happening on my second screen, with no delay from the live event. We designed this as a solution to live streaming's declining viewership. Give the modern fan what they want. We call them moments because that's what they are. Moments mean that we can automatically create thousands of influencer and fan-driven content. By allowing viewers to create their own content, these moments become more powerful, more relevant, especially when they're fan-driven. But it's not only about the fans that are on the platform, but what about the fans that aren't on the platform? Moments can also be used to drive fans to the platform for something that's about to happen. Some event that hasn't taken place yet can bring fans to come and watch that moment that's about to happen on a platform. It's proactive content, not post-event. And what we've done is opened up a realm of possibilities beyond fan experiences. Fans can now be a live part of the event, driving interactions, like being able to pick the production capabilities of an event. You know, the example that we have in the middle here, just having a competition as to what type of lighting you'd like to see on stage. This is all interactive, real time, connects to the environment. We call this environment interaction. So fans become part of the production of events and not just a passive consumer of content. Delivering immersive suite experiences like live multi-angle video on in-suite displays, taking a second screen and making it a monster screen and having people be able to select multiple camera angles or creating moments within an in-suite environment. And adding new dimensions to production. So instead of having a linear production feed that's telling you what to watch, bringing in a bunch of new camera angles and audio and data that gives the fan a different perspective. You know, you can have a permanent dugout camera, and some fans just want to know what's going on in the dugout, or be able to have two screens together, one showing the dugout and the other one showing the activity that's happening on the field. Or a backstage view. You know, what happens when people go off stage? Maybe there's opportunities for interviews with bands, live interaction with fans when they're not on stage. Really, the possibilities when you create this level of interaction and the speed at which we deliver this video, it really makes that interactive capability enhanced. Another very compelling aspect of live video is the online or digital betting environment. It's one of the fastest growing industries, and yet it's still very traditional, at least at scale. The time lag between the live event and the digital stream prevents real-time, in the moment, emotional betting opportunities. We all experienced it recently. If you're a Blue Jays fan, bottom of the ninth, we're playing against the A's. Bases are loaded. Teoscar's up next. And we all know he has a great batting record. Is this a moment for a grand slam? Now, we're all thinking it. We're all hoping it. But maybe there's an opportunity to be able to make a bet on this. And with our technology, we're able to allow that micro betting in real time, in tangent with live streaming. Seconds away from any play from actually happening. Users can be targeted depending on their profile to pick up a bet that suits them best. In this example, you have exactly the same moment of the potential grand slam, and you have on the left a Blue Jays fan who can vote and can place a bet on a potential grand slam, yes or no. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have the competition, who are the A's, betting on a strikeout. It's the same moment, but it's personalized. It's personalized to who I am. So what did we do? Today's traditional encoding pipelines generally uses the same method of ingesting and encoding video streams. This process can't really change much, as the upload stream formats limit what you can do in changing the encoding process. This forces broadcasters instead to focus on optimizing delivery to the end user device from the encoding process. For us, they're only focusing on the one side of the problem, and that's delivery to the handset. Nobody is looking at the ingestion component, which is from the camera to the encoding process. And this is where the delays are typically between 30 and 60 seconds. So we realized early on that in order to solve this challenge, we needed to look at the entire picture, not just what happens at the encoding side. We created our patent-pending microblock technology, where we convert existing video streams into tiny little time-synchronized individual blocks. Each one of those blocks has a timestamp on it, and it's that timestamp that allows us to perfectly synchronize after the encoding process. Basically, we break it up and we put it all back together, and we do that really fast. But when we break it up, we don't put it back together in a linear format. We use what we call a distributed encoding cluster. And this DEC technology means that when we break up the video and we send it through the encoding process, we send it to these little nodes. And depending on how much video we have, we can scale up or scale down these nodes. And each node can take one little microblock, transcode it, and then send it to the other side where we align these blocks again. And this gives us incredible speed in the transcoding process. And now we have delays 3 to 4 seconds delivered anywhere in the world. That's through CDNs with the traditional CDN delay. and as fast as 100 milliseconds to a second screen in the stadium. So if you can picture the stadium with 50,000 people, and maybe there's 5G at that stadium, and you want to deliver real-time second screen experience to those people in the stadium, you can do that from the time that you see the action on the field to the time that you get that interaction on your phone, less than 1 second. It's barely noticeable as a fan, as opposed to 30 to 60 seconds, right? So we haven't just fixed video streaming, we completely changed it. We broke the rules around transcoding. And it's this that sets us apart and allows us so much more opportunity around what you can do with live video at scale. Lots of people all being able to interact with this video. Thank you. I'll pause here for some questions.
Thanks so much for that, Greg. That was really insightful. Coming from Brampton, you know, Canada's soccer factory, I think it's really interesting what you're trying to do. One question that comes to my mind is how is technology like this affecting you know, consumption and especially in the lower leagues or lower divisions that don't have a lot of following, don't have a lot of people, you know, watching those types of leagues. How does like a technology like this help that?
That's a great question. And this is exactly where our technology is being positioned. It's for that grassroots rights holder who doesn't have that broadcast exposure, right? These are the guys these are the teams and the people that are being left out. You know, broadcasters tend to focus specifically on that elite professional sports level. And you need platforms that give other people an opportunity to not only get their product out there, because distribution platforms exist today, right? You have them in YouTube and social media and Twitch, but these are free platforms. These are platforms where it's very difficult to create a community because you don't own that community. The social media platform owns that community. They own that engagement. So even if I am putting out live content and I've got 1 million followers, I can't talk to them, right? Real Madrid have this problem today. They have 450 million global followers. They don't know any of them on their social media channels, right? They're saying, "How I've got 220 million people in Asia Pacific that support Real Madrid, and we don't know anything about them. We don't know who they are. We don't know their demographic." This is a massive challenge for professional sports. Now you take that to a grassroots level where that fan engagement is so important, knowing who my fan is, being able to talk to them, understanding their profile, getting them involved in what we're doing at a grassroots level. That's the challenge for grassroots. And that's where this platform really does provide that opportunity for not only bringing content, but commercializing that content and building that fan base that you can own, because that's what you need, right? And you need a platform that's going to get you out there, starting to reach new fans globally. You know, just because, you know, cricket is played in Brampton and nowhere else in Canada doesn't mean that somebody in India doesn't want to watch Brampton cricket. You know, that's because you have family and friends that are there, that now you have that ability for them to be able to participate, and it's real time. So what they're seeing is what's happening on the field. It's not a post-production event that somebody recorded and put on YouTube. So now people can collectively start to participate in this, and it becomes much more relevant, right? So when you're looking at grassroots, the relevancy of grassroots is that it's emotional, right? It's a father, it's a mother, it's an uncle, it's an aunt, it's a granny, it's a grandpa. It's the people that are close to that participant that want to be vested in that. In a Real Madrid world, it's different, right? It's people that are the emotion is the loyalty to the brand. It's not the father of the player, you know. And so that's where the difference is for us.
Thanks for that. That was very helpful. And I think I'd love to see like something like your platform, showing some of the like local leagues or something like that. I just got probably this year into watching, I watch soccer, like international soccer and whatnot. But I just got into watching some of the Canadian Premier League. So but it's kind of nice if you have that engagement. It gives it an edge over, like, why would I watch a team in another country if I can be engaged with a team locally? So I really feel that.
Yeah, and I think when you create that platform, Anis, it starts to gain a little bit of momentum. It's like you talk about the Canada, the CFL, and local tournaments that are not getting that exposure on broadcast or digital streaming platforms like Sportsnet or TSN. Where else do you find that live content? You don't. It's really, really difficult, right? And if I do find it, how do I engage with it? How do I become a part of this? How do I make it a part of what I'm doing, right, in my day? How do I share something that's relevant to me, relevant to that in my social media circles? Because my social media circle is important to me. It's not important to you or anybody else. You have these micro ecosystems that exist that have relevance to everybody. So trying to provide for that is an important component. I mean, you also talk about sports, but we look at this type of technology transcending sports and going into really pretty much any live event, right? So you look at small businesses like pubs that have bands playing, right, or little comedy shows that are taking place. They have limitations by tickets and floor space. There's only so many people that they can get into a pub, and with COVID and social distancing, that's even more under threat, right? Now you can create platforms where, as a pub, or like Al Mokambo comes to mind in Toronto, right, that can create a channel on MyFan, and the events that they're doing, they can now put them out there live. They do a lot of post-production stuff, no doubt about it, and there is a space for post-production. But there's something about getting something live that means something more to a fan, right? And I think that's those type of platforms that become relevant. And also, I mean, they want to create loyalty. They want to reach new fans. How do they do that? How does somebody support Al Mokambo if they're based in Vancouver, but they like what they do? How do they do that? Yeah, sorry, Erin, you want to ask something?
Yeah.
I don't see all the hands, so
just my hand up.
Okay.
Greg, I was wondering if you could share your thoughts on how you feel fan engagement platforms might be used by small businesses or even individuals in the future.
Yeah, so again, we believe that these type of platforms are what are going to become essential to small business, because it's one thing having food and having people on site, but how do you create that larger community? How do you get that bigger reach? How do you create that loyalty for people that are part of you? Well, first of all, you got to know who they are. If you don't know who they are, it's really hard to talk to them, right? If I don't know the demographic of the profile of my fan, and the only way that I can talk to them is generically through a social media platform, and I'm hit and miss, that's a shotgun approach, right? But if I know the demographic of the profile of my fan, I know how to talk to them. I can have them drive the type of content that's important to them, not necessarily what I believe is important to my fans, right? And this is where this cross relationship comes between what we're producing as content and what fans are asking for as content. And it's not always the same thing. So, and this type of stuff, it happens in social media today, right? You grow a following, but as soon as you want to know anything about them, you can't. It's just impossible.
I think speaking to that point, Greg, I think it's like, especially for individuals and small businesses, like they look at other verticals as well, right? Like you need to know who's tuning in for you to be able to like sell them merch, for example. And those verticals are probably more important than your main line of business in some cases. especially for content creators, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at content creation, you know, your biggest, people spend money on social media to market, right? But actually your biggest asset for marketing is your fan. And if you create a platform where they can engage with live content and promote your live content, because they're director of their own show, they're creating their own moments, sharing that on social media, saying, you won't believe what I saw in the CFL today, right? You don't have to go and create that content yourself. Your fans will create that content. If you give them the platform to do it,
Yes.
you'll be surprised how much content they'll create for you, right? I mean, you look at TikTok and the amount of content that gets created in 15 seconds of a TikTok video. I mean, it's phenomenal, right? Now you give them that same platform with live content of a live event that happened, and imagine what they'll do with that content. But that capability isn't there today. And that's what we want to do. We want to unlock that capability. I mean, you talk about MyFan as a platform and launching and looking forward to seeing it locally. We are too. I mean, our plan is November 2021 to launch the platform in Canada. That's our target date prior to Christmas, to have the platform launched within the territory. We're going to launch across six territories across the globe, all at the same time. There'll be Canada, the US, the UK, Europe, Australia, and South Africa will be our 6 territories. And we're excited because there isn't a platform today that does this, right? And it's not, we don't have to find the content because the content creators are out there. We're not a rights holder purchaser. We don't buy broadcast rights. All we're doing is saying there's an easy way for you to get content that you already have onto a platform where you can manage profiles, you can commercialize it, and you can create a new level of engagement. I think it's exciting. You know, I think it's something that is a little bit different to what's out there, and I think it's what the market needs.
My house league soccer starts I think next week, so I'm expecting a full 4-camera angle MyFan experience. I want,
and that's what will happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know, we look externally and we say, well, what's happened in this world of grassroots rights holders, right? And we look at how technology is becoming more cost effective and easy to deploy. So you have portable automated camera systems like Pixelot and Veo, where you can stick it on a 10-foot pole and it's got this double camera capturing everything that you're doing. Now, and all it's doing is just computer vision and a little bit of data. It's all post-event, right? But now translate that into a live stream of that into a MyFan world where you have all this engagement. So you have this low-cost portable camera solution linked to a platform that you don't have to go and build yourself. You just create a publisher page and you set and you configure your parameters, and off you go, right? That's where the world is going to go. And that's when you create that convergence of technologies that you will see this massive explosion of content. You know, the broadcasters complain. They say viewership is down because there's too much live content. Is it really down, or is it just moved somewhere else? You know, we look at Tokyo Olympics, for example. Terrible viewership, right? 41% down on 2016. Super Bowl, another one. Super Bowl 55, down 14%. Lowest ratings they've had since 2007, and I think I mentioned it going back to Super Bowl 3 even, right? But NBA down, World Baseball down, 57%, 51%. I mean, these are staggering numbers when you think about it, right? It's like you're losing half of your viewership. But on the flip side of that, you look at the Tokyo Olympics as an example, right? You've got NBC with a digital platform called Peacock.
Yeah. They brought in Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg, but apparently it didn't help. Their viewership was still down, all-time low. Yeah,
on their traditional platforms, right?
Yeah.
But on Peacock, they signed up 20 million new subscribers just in the 2-week Olympic window, right? Those are not reported as linear TV numbers, because linear TV numbers are accounted for separately. And I think we're only going to really see digital streaming numbers properly are going to start coming out 2023, 2024, where they'll really start measuring the impact of digital TV. The Super Bowl streaming numbers, they were up 70% year on year in 2020. 5.7 million people streamed the Super Bowl. It's not reported in the Super Bowl viewing numbers because they're only reporting linear TV, right? I'll give you another example. I'm gonna quote here. This is a report from Forbes that they did, right? So looking at other digital media outlets, NBC reported that during the Olympics, there were 2.9 billion impressions on NBC Olympics Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts, right? So it doesn't mean that people are not watching it. They're just watching it a different way. They're engaging with it a different way. And this is what we're saying, is that people want to come in and out of something. They're not going to sit and watch a whole event, but they are going to come in and out when it's relevant. They also said they had 338.7 million social media engagements on the Olympic Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat accounts. They had 14 million unique viewers on Twitch that watched over the 2-week period, over 2 hours of content with 14 million unique viewers, right? So the viewership is moving. It doesn't like linear TV. They call it the cord cutting, and it's happening all over the world, right? People don't want to be sitting at home watching TV. That's for old people like me. But for the younger generation, honest like yourself, you're outside. You're visiting people. You're socializing. You're on your phone. You're off your phone. You're on your phone. You're off your phone. But if you were to get a notification on your phone that Teoscar just walked up to the plate, the bases are loaded, it's bottom of the ninth, do you not think that maybe you'd go and have a look at it if it hadn't happened yet? It might be interesting for you, right? If you received that notification or that pull to say, come and watch this, that'll be a moment you might enjoy, right? You come in, watch the moment and leave, 5 minutes. You don't have to watch 4 hours of baseball to enjoy the bottom of the ninth. And that's really where we see the traditional linear TV broadcast and how it moves to digital. It's going to be a challenge because of the limitations that digital provides today. But if you change that and you create a more engaging environment, people will participate. There's no doubt in my mind.
That's actually true. And I've actually done that before. Like I'll be on a group text on WhatsApp and somebody will message that, it's, the game's going into overtime. And that's happened to me a bunch of times with like Raptors games and whatnot. So like, yeah, you definitely, that kind of, like you said, pulls you in. I wanted to open it up. Does anybody else have questions? We wanted this to be a little bit more interactive. So if you feel you want to ask something, feel free to either unmute or throw your question in the chat.
So one of the antidotes that we think is also compelling, right, is sports betting, because it's a relatively nascent industry, right? But it can be enticing to that younger generation. And particularly if you can make it relevant, right? That future result type of bet, I think it has its place, and there's always going to be that market for that. But the younger generation is more emotional driven, right? So that exact same example that we use with the bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. If I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'm betting on the Grand Slam, even if it's a token bet, right? Doesn't really matter. The chances are that I'm going to bet on it, and then I'm going to watch it because now I'm betting on it and I'm watching it. And that's where you may have this opportunity to drive people back to viewing live events. I don't think you're ever going to get that length of engagement from people anymore. Nobody's going to sit and watch a 3-hour game or a 4-hour game. And that's going to continue to decline. There's got to be better ways to deliver that content to people. We still have them there, still be part of it, but in and out as they come and go, right? Nobody wants to sit when the quarterback takes the knee and there's a timeout. It's boring, right? It's like, I'm going. I don't want to watch this. Now, how do you get him back? When he leaves, how do you get him back?
Yeah. You have a question from Erica? I think Aaron was going to say it.
Hello, Erica.
Hi, Greg. How are you? I was actually going to ask you a question on sport betting, because I know that's quite popular. Are you thinking of working with or partner with companies like Bodog that does a lot of these type of bettings?
That's exactly our objective. We're not a sports betting company. So we facilitate the technology to make that opportunity happen. And our intention is to be able to partner with sports betting companies that are looking to move into the micro betting space.
Okay, and that's really important for Ontario, that is looking at changing its betting regulations. So I think that's a really important part for us to continue to look at and engaging in terms of that sector space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting times for Ontario now because of the change in legislation, right? I think you're going to see a bunch of international betting companies coming into Ontario. But it's those that have that differentiator that really, I think the sports betting market is going to evolve dramatically. It has one of the fastest compound annual growth rates projected from now till 2028 globally. So it's going to be an interesting time for sports betting, I think, over the next 5 years.
For sure. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Okay, how are we doing?
I have another question, but I wanna give people the chance if in case they want to unmute and ask. If they don't, then I'll take the opportunity.
Okay. You're gonna put me on the spot, are you?
No, not really. But something that came to my mind is about copyright. So, when you're talking about sort of creating those micro segments where people, where people are able to share content or share a play from a game, how do you balance that with copyright? Because that's going to be an issue, even if you have the rights for the game. I wonder how many of them would be open to kind of people sharing openly, a goal that's scored or a play that happens during a game.
So it's a really interesting topic, and one that touches on all elite rights holders, right? And it's what they call user-generated content. And in fact, it's something that exists in broadcast right clauses that allows users to be able to share that user-generated content. So as long as they have that right, you're able to share that. I mean, there's some teams in the Ukraine, football teams, that you're not allowed to share anything. If you were at the game and you took a picture and you shared it on social media, you had to take it down. And that happens today, right? But others see it as promoting the content because it's so short and it's not the full, you don't get the full experience. But I think that space is going to be really interesting to watch over the next couple of years, because user-generated content from digital platforms is going to exceed any highlights package that a broadcaster will be able to put out in the future.
Wow.
And interestingly, we in our platform, by default, regardless of the level of rights holder, we digitally protect all our content. So you couldn't come into MyFan and take out a whole game and put it on YouTube, for example, or share it on another channel. You'd only be able to watch it in the MyFan platform. So we DRM protect by default all content.
How does it work when you're trying to share it on social though?
So you allow for that window. So you can stipulate a 5-second clip, a 7-second clip, a 3-second clip, whatever that is. And that can also be determined by the rights holder themselves. They say it can only be a 3-second clip, and then we configure it like that. So when you create that moment, for us, it's a data tag that you're creating, right? And we can say, as a rule, depending on the configuration from the rights holder, when a data tag is created, it grabs 2 seconds before and 3 seconds after, or 3 seconds before and 2 seconds after. And this is what gives us the ability to deliver that into a platform very, very quickly. So we can deliver a highlight literally 5 seconds after it happened, right? Faster than you would get it if you were streaming on a standard digital platform. You'd actually get the live and the highlight before you actually got the live content on a comparative linear digital platform. It's all about speed for us. You know, we want to get global latencies, and that we have dependencies on CDNs. But our ultimate objective is to be able to from the time of capture through the transcoding process and through delivery into CDNs is deliver that sub 1 second. But right now we sit with 600 milliseconds of delay from the camera to the transcoding process. So it's actually the camera itself that takes up 600 milliseconds of capturing and sending that video out.
I was just going to say, I think that aspect of time is what's really important here. And, you know, your platform really aligns with how the younger generations are consuming content online. And anyone who's ever tried to stream something knows how frustrating it is to have, you know, the spinny icon going and going, or it being choppy, and it just makes it an unpleasant viewing experience. So I think this technology is going to be really game changing for consuming live events, live sporting events, and probably other live entertainment events as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, what we're using here is a protocol called Webrtc, right? Which, you know, people say, well, this is live and this is fast, so why can't we just use Webrtc? Well, you can't, because it limits to the number of people that you can have proactively working in this environment and engaging. That's why you have limited numbers of 50. And if you're going into 500, it's non-interactive. So you would be doing a presentation and 500 people can watch, but they can't interact with it, right? So you don't have this forum capability. So Webrtc is great technology, but it has a limitation in terms of scalability. When you want to take a concert, I'm going to use Nickelback as an example, right? And I know I'm on the fence of populists here, but if Nickelback wanted to do a concert and project that to a global audience of 20 million people, you couldn't use Webrtc. And where you have these problems in linear, this buffering that you get is because of concurrent users, too many users trying to consume that data. When you use our technology, we do it completely differently. You don't have this buffering challenge. We can do it at scale at 20 million people and all have the same experience with adaptive bitrate technology. So depending on your connectivity, we adjust what you're getting in all the angles, by the way. It's not one linear stream. If there are 8 camera angles capturing content, we deliver all 8 camera angles to you. I'm glad Devin likes Nickelback. So
yeah, it sounds really, really exciting, Greg. And I wanted to ask, you touched on this just a second ago. How does the end user's connectivity impact the timing
of video delivery?
Of the delivery of the video, yes.
Okay. So it doesn't impact so much the timing of the video delivery to the handset, but it does impact the quality of what you're consuming. So we call it adaptive bitrate, the industry. It's where you take an HD stream at 1080 pixels, right, which is 1080, and then you step that down to 720, 480, 360, yeah. 240, right? And actually at 480, you can still deliver a really good quality stream. The question is, how quickly can you apply that adaptive rate, right? So, and that's where the key comes. So YouTube does it. YouTube doesn't do it bad. They do it pretty well. They in their application of adaptive bitrate. So when you're watching, you kind of see it might go a little bit grainy, and then it gets a bit better, and it gets a little bit grainy again. But they try to avoid the spinny circle thing that you call it, right? The buffering.
I don't know. I can't remember the technical term for the spinning circle thing.
No, and that's a great way to call it, right? The buffering, the buffering element, which is
the buffering icon, yeah.
Right. So adaptive bitrate is an industry standard that exists today. It's just how quickly you can apply that in the video, in identifying the user's connectivity restraints, because it really comes down to the quality of your connection and not so much the quality of video that's being delivered to you today. Because most digital platforms have adopted adaptive bitrate as a technology.
And I see Sarita has her hand up. Sarita, do you want to come off mute?
Hi.
Hello, Sarita.
Hello, Greg, and hello to the rest of the group over here. I am just in awe about this technology. It is just, I'm still trying to learn many others just to come at par, but what you have just introduced or talked about is just overwhelmed me. So I'm just, it's great. I'm not against it. It's just so wonderful to see where technology is taking us and all the neat things we can do ourselves, like as a consumer, and not depend on the service provider. However, one thing does come to my mind. What does this do? Because we did talk about small businesses and all that. What does this do to in moving forward to live experiences where small businesses and vendors make money or livelihood out of these live experiences, like the hot dog vendor, the popcorn vendor. So, people are doing all these, are taking in all these experiences, at their own place, comfort of their home or with friends or maybe on the bus. But how does this impact the larger society and the larger economy?
So first of all, thank you for your compliment. To answer your question, we don't see the impact on live events at the venue. So we still see a lot of people consuming live content. In fact, as we're moving out of these COVID restrictions, we're already seeing, we saw that with the Blue Jays at home, when we're against the first New York and then the Orioles, was this cry to please open up the stadium, right? It's like make it more than 15, and they made it 30,000 people. And I went and watched that, and I don't think you're ever going to get away from people going to the stadium. But one thing that we do in our technology is we also enhance the in-stadium experience. So we can, because I'm not sure if you've ever been to a Blue Jays game, but one of the components that you don't get to see is a lot of the replays of what happened, right? You tend to see a lot of data insight on the scoreboard, but you don't get a lot of video that's happening. You don't see a lot of the plays that happen until much, much later. So that where you might have missed it, or you see that home run, and that hit happens in the microsecond, right? When that hit happens and you blink and you missed it. Now imagine if that, like literally the next second, it was already on the big screen and you could now watch it again on the big screen. That would be a unique experience that you couldn't do today. So it's the type of technology that we're implementing with companies that do displays in stadiums. So we're working with a company in Australia called Simtech, who, this is what they do. They do stadium displays and big screen TVs, right? And they're looking at ways to really enhance this in-stadium experience. So I see not only how we consume from a digital perspective, but also what that in-game experience is going to be like for people when they get to a stadium. People say when they go to a stadium, they don't look at their phone. When you go to a stadium, everybody's looking at their phone. Everybody's taking a picture. Everybody's creating moments. They're sharing it on social media. They're taking pictures. They're on their phone. And if you can deliver them a unique experience there, I think you're gonna have sellouts all the time, right? I mean, I don't see it detracting from that in-game experience, and in turn that ecosystem of micro businesses that rely on that for their support and survival.
Yeah, I agree. I like that analogy of the replay. That's true. And it's for me, especially watching hockey games, that'll be a blessing, because I often miss the puck when the goal happens. So watching it, the replay on the big screen and all that is really going to be helpful. No, this is wonderful, and thank you. And I just was wondering about the social changes that this is going to bring. And but that's what change does, and change is progress. Thank you.
Change is progress. You're welcome.
Well said, Sarita. Do we have any more questions from anyone in the chat, or feel free to come off of mute? All right.
I was just thinking, I mean, same question, the same thing you were talking about. It's this thing I was thinking about baseball, for example, right? And you see how a bunch of Gen Zs are dropping off. They're not that interested. But if you have an event that considers their addiction to the phone, to their smartphone, and their second screen experience, if the event is catered to that, catered to people that are actually attendees at the stadium, that actually can bring people that would otherwise not attend. So I don't think it cannibalizes stadiums. It can actually help refresh stadiums, because you can create these interactions that are only for people that are at the venue,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where the technology is going, right? I mean, we've got to get creative around getting fans into stadiums. This is the bread and butter of professional sports, and we've got to maintain that. But at the same time, it's got to change. That fan is looking for a different experience, and we need to deliver that different experience.
I actually had one more thought about one of the things that happened courtesy of COVID was, a lot of gatherings couldn't happen. So for example, we saw the rise of Zoom weddings, or weddings, for example, that were streamed. I'm just thinking about, what an experience it would be if you had something that you could be more interactive with, versus everybody kind of, lining up on a screen to watch a wedding, which is very awkward. It was strange. I didn't know if I had to dress up or not. It was such a weird time. I attended 2 Zoom weddings. But yeah, imagine you're able to kind of go on your phone, you're able to take clips, funny things happen. Yeah, kind of just fueling the engagement there. And have you guys thought about that? Have you thought about events like weddings and stuff, especially if this, COVID situation keeps changing and evolving?
So absolutely. In fact, we didn't think about it, right? When we present our technology to video production companies, they don't only do live events that are sports and entertainment orientated. They're doing weddings, they're doing funerals. They're projecting the stuff all over the world. They're using platforms like Vimeo, like YouTube, like Zoom to get these out there, right? And they're the ones who are saying this would be perfect for what they do in that space. So I think when you create the platform that is this type of engagement, that isn't limited in terms of from a cost perspective, or it's not limiting for grassroots to be able to put live content and commercialize that live content in one way or another, I think we're going to be surprised at what type of content comes to this sort of platform. I mean, obviously we don't want to be an OnlyFans. That's certainly not our objective, and we'll do our best to ensure that that doesn't happen. But we're focused around good, clean, live eventing that is emotionally relevant to the fans that are on the platform.
Anyone else with the questions or comments?
Greg, I have a question for you personally. I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about, your background in growth and career in the tech space, and offer any advice you might have for some of the younger folks who may be considering a career in this space. I think there's lots of exciting things ahead, and I think it would be something for some young people who are thinking ahead of what they might want to do with their careers to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So my background is technology. I've always believed that technology can pretty much solve any problem. From when I started way back in 1990 in the cash and carry days, and moving into fintech, it's always been an objective of mine to try to understand how technology can help the world move forward. And it does, it's a hyperbolic curve, right? I mean, I think we're seeing the uptake that we're seeing and the progression that we're seeing in technology is just, it's astounding, right? I mean, you talk about AR and VR, while we don't really see the long-term application of that in a everyday world, it has a place for that type of technology has a place, and some people like it. And we're seeing now with the Panthers, they put up some augmented reality overlays on their post-production video, right? And so it's really, really interesting. I mean, I come from the technology world and dealing with consumers, and fintech is predominantly my background. So debit credit card is very close to what I understand around consumer behavior and how people grow into debit and credit, and that same growth path that they have from a banking perspective aligns with their behavior from a technology perspective. The more technological they become, the more astute they become around banking technologies. I mean, we've got Apple Pay, Touch to Pay, Google Pay, every type of pay you can think of today, right? In the old days, we had cash, and that was the golden currency. So my advice to youngsters that are getting into technology is you got to have a passion for it, right? You really got to believe that you're solving a problem, because if you can't see the problem that you're solving, it's very hard to understand how you can build out that technology to meet that goal. It may be a problem that doesn't even exist today. Maybe a problem that we're seeing as a result of technology. Technology is going to solve technology problems, that's for sure. From an entrepreneurial perspective, I mean, I've been involved through my career in 6 startups. 4 of them I've successfully sold. One was a failure. It's not for any other reason other than it was bad timing. It was a product that just the market wasn't ready for it. But it should never let you give up. If you believe in what you're doing, if you believe in what you're building, my advice to you is don't be scared to ask for help. We came into Canada and we joined, with the support of Brampton City, we joined the RIC incubator. And not because we don't understand business, but because we don't understand Canada, and there are other components where we do need support. It's not my saying, but there's no such thing as a stupid question. Right? And I think that's super relevant in a startup world, because being a startup is such a challenge. You never have enough money. There's no doubt about it. Money is the biggest challenge, but you also need that little bit of confidence. So you've got to get people around you that can support you, whether it be marketing support or sales support, financial support, intellectual property. I mean, that level of support is out there. And in this virtual world that we live in today, you don't physically have to be involved in an incubator or an accelerator to benefit out of that support. It's global. You can be part of an Australian incubator and get all the benefits out of those entrepreneurs that can support you and mentors. And there is a wealth of support out there. People want people to succeed. Nobody wants to see entrepreneurs fall. And so I say, just get the help that you need because it's out there.
That's fantastic advice for everyone, not just our youth who are considering career options. I just had a question come to mind for you. Have there been any barriers that you've come across to the uptake or the evolution of this technology, and how have you addressed those?
So, I mean, I don't want to blow my own horn, right? But we haven't yet had anybody say, that's a bad idea, right? Because live video is relevant to so many industries and so many applications. The biggest challenges for us have been really, how do you take the technology and commercialize it? How do you take that and turn it into a product that people can understand? And really, we're going to see that when we launch MyFan next month, that it does everything that we say it does, because that's a key component to the success of your platform, right? Is that it's easy for people to onboard, it's easy for them to publish their content, and it's easy for them to commercialize, because that's where you get more people bringing content. So from a B2B perspective, we have a number of clients across the globe that are using and looking to use our technology to solve video problems for them. So our biggest challenge has been, marketing and what is that brand positioning, and getting that insight, getting market insights. While the internet is a wealth of information, it's also a wealth of misinformation. And it's really difficult to get accurate information that is relevant to what you're trying to achieve. And places like Mars, and they really do give you better support in that market analysis and market and industry unpack that they can support you with. So yeah, I would say that our biggest challenge today has been the commercializing the technology and turning it into a product. And time will tell if we're successful, right? This is it's great tech, and we know it's great, and everybody loves it. But is the fan really going to like it? That's the litmus test for us. They say they will.
We're rooting for you, Greg. You can call us fans, no pun intended.
We appreciate all the support.
That's actually really exciting to see, this type of technology being developed or being worked on it like through Brampton. Makes us very excited for, local talent, local companies are here. So you can rest assured you have the full support.
Yeah, no, we've never doubted the support. So we sing it proudly that we're Brampton City, and when COVID allows, we'll be back in the office and we'll be raring to go, right? Are we done?
So I guess we'll put out the last call for any more questions. If you have anything you've been holding on to, waiting to ask, now would be the time.
Ask now or forever hold your peace, eh?
Exactly.
Greg's not always available, so. You want to? you want to wrap up, Erin, or is that my cue?
Yeah, I guess if there's no further questions, we would, of course, thank you, Greg, so much for this presentation. My mind's blown. I'm excited to learn more, to try this out, and to change the way that I engage with live entertainment. I'm excited for it. I hope everyone here is as well. And you've really inspired me, and I'm sure all of us here this evening. Ines, did you have any parting comments?
Oh, it was great, honestly. Answered a bunch of questions that I had. I knew a lot about Mobii, but I didn't know everything that I learned today. So that's been very exciting, and exciting to see the growth of the company. Yeah, and speaking of sports, there's a men's soccer game coming up at 9:40. We're playing Canada plays Mexico, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully one day on the Mobii platform to watch it.
I look forward to that too. No, thank you, Ines. Thank you, Erin. It's been a pleasure to be here. I've enjoyed the topic. I've enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully we've been able to give you a little bit of insight on live streaming.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So I'll let everyone know that we do have another Tech Talk scheduled for November 18th. Topic and speaker to be announced, so stay tuned. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening, for your great questions and the great conversation and discussion we've had. Again, thank you to Greg for making the time.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for having me.
Awesome. And I'll remind everyone, we have recorded tonight's session. And if you missed the top of it or you popped in a little bit late, don't worry. We will be posting the recorded session to the Brampton Library YouTube channel at a later date.
Excellent.
Thanks so much, Erin. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Inez.
Take care, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.